Hello, and welcome to Broker Than You. I am your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Ali. I would like to thank our sponsors at Procyon Partners. They are one of the top 50 fastest growing companies in the nation. President Sean Rabinowitz is a proud supporter of our podcast network and everything we do. They specialize in employee benefits, wealth management, and retirement planning. We have Green Street Trust International, owned and operated by Renell Jump. They specialize in tax plans for businesses large or small. They will save you money or get you a big fat return. To schedule your free strategic tax planning session today, go to www.greenstreettrust.com. Pete Finch and the Finch Law Firm is out of Bridgeport, Connecticut. If you suffered any type of personal injury, the Finch firm is for you. I'm talking a slip and fall, a car accident. Your mother-in-law decided to run you over with her car. Your wife decided to stab you. Pete is a lawyer for you. He has won legal battles all over the state of Connecticut. He is not afraid of any insurance companies. He will go to war to get every dollar you deserve in compensation. And I just saw him, so remember, if you're in a pinch, call Finch. Dynamic Human Performance is owned and operated by UConn legendary running back Andre Dixon. He has a 5,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility. He trains boys and girls of all ages, of all sports. He has a boot camp program, 7 days a week, 6 a.m. You want to get in shape? You go work with Andre. He has an athletic development program where he trains boys and girls in the sport of their choice from the ground up. He helps them to reach their potential and become the best they can be. Andre has sent boys and girls to college on scholarships for all different types of sports. So to work with the best in Connecticut, go to www.dynamichumanperformance.com. Down south, we have Julius Williams in the Trench Mob in Decatur, Georgia. Julius and his team train offensive and defensive linemen. They compete in 5v5 tournaments, which is offensive versus defensive linemen, all over the country. His team was undefeated this year. He has talent that is out of this world. They did a college camp circuit. Every college camp they attended, every college showcase, they had a member offered a scholarship. Julius has sent kids to Florida, Florida State, Miami, Clemson, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, just to name a few. So if you are a lineman and you want to work with the best, he also has a virtual program. You can be out of state. Julius will be with you every step of the way, showing you how to lift weights, showing you how to run, showing you drill work to do. And then you are able to attend any 5v5 tournaments the Trench Mob goes to, any camps that the Trench Mob goes to as a Trench Mob member. And just wearing that across your chest makes all the difference in the world with recruiting. So to work with Julius, we have the Trench Mob show Friday nights at 7:30. Go to www.battleofthetrenches.com to be featured on our show. DM either one of us, and we will make sure you get on. And now for the men of the hour, we have to the right of me, Mr. James Whitfield of Luther James Insurance. Great to have you back.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, backed by popular demand. We have to keep the people happy. You have to keep the people happy, and you were a hit last week.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Yes. You have a fan group. And Laban Marsh, the king of real estate in Erie, Pennsylvania. Laban.
Yeah, man.
To see you.
Hey, good to see you guys once again.
And Razul, I got to do a show with Razul on location last week after my time at UConn. I went down and I saw him and his partner Ja. And that was fun seeing him there. But yeah, Razul, I hope he's doing something productive today. And Nedvonne Young, Fresh himself. Fresh, also a big hit last week. Everyone loved Fresh and his ideas, and we got a lot to get through today. But it's great to have you back as well, of the FreshFold Laundry Company, just out of Chapel Hill, North Carolina. So I'll there's dipshit. Now he comes on.
Quick, White coming on.
You were just saying. You were saying such nice things about him, and then
don't tell him that.
My bad, fellas.
You peeped the shirt?
Is that Jerry Martin?
Nice.
Yeah, that's the Martin Strong shirt. R.I.P.
Awesome.
Coach Martin.
Is that really? Oh yeah, it is. Oh my God.
That's because Razul was getting another workout in. He was doing one of Jerry's specials. That's why he was late.
That's it.
James, that used to be our strength coach at UConn. He passed a while ago.
Wow.
Did anybody ever see that dude smile ever? Anybody see teeth from him ever?
I did after.
Did you? Oh, okay.
After you won a game?
After
After you won.
I think,
but after the career was over, you could have a conversation and he'd smile. Man, he was always.
I think there were moments where you could just kind of like catch him, because I feel like he was like stone cold all the time.
All the time.
But every now and then you can get you can catch like a crap in there, you know.
And I bet, like, in his personal life, he had a killer sense of humor or something.
No way.
You don't I mean, bro, he was so stoic all the time. He had to have an outlet.
Everywhere. I pictured that, just white walls.
He liked dark comedy or something. There had to be some outlet for him to find joy.
I'll have to ask Randy. I'll ask Randy. Laban, I will tell you a funny story, because to this day, it's the highlight of my UConn career. I have to be the only one. I failed the UConn conditioning test 4 years in a row.
What?
Oh man,
in a row?
Miserably. So basically, my senior year, I kind of gave up on it, because I came close to 90% once, and it was as a junior. I think I got to 88. And then my senior year, I just gave up. I was at like 83. I was like the lowest of the low. So the first day we're out there, we're running gassers. And all I remember is just the sea of bodies. I remember Razul, he was down. He had a hamstring injury. I remember Jamal Lundy, he hurt his hamstring. Oh, he pulled it. Everyone was hurt.
And everybody hurt when a conditioning test come up by some odd, strange reason, right?
It was finally like 3 days after the conditioning test. So I made all my times, and I walked by Jerry. I walked by Jerry Martin, and I smugly said, "F your conditioning test." I said, look at all these people who passed your conditioning test. Look how they're doing. Look what they're doing now. And he gave me the look of death, like he was going to shoot me. And he goes, "Did you run them all as hard as you could?" I said, "I made all my times. You got nothing on me." And that was like the proudest moment I ever had, because 4 years, failed the conditioning test and doing bear crawls. So yes, Jerry Martin, one of a kind.
I hated the conditioning test, but I would think you'd lose your scholarship as soon as a DB or wide receiver can't pass a conditioning test.
That nowadays, it's a big deal.
Could you pass the presidential fitness test though? That's
coming. That's coming.
But how it is kind of sad to think that just the general public man, we have slipped a little bit.
No,
in our
we
fitness,
have.
Yeah,
We
We
have.
have
for
a
sure.
lot.
But I think even, and as an athlete, you have those inner circles of teams and there's guys that get bullied a little bit or whatever else. But like, that is not a good enough reason to let our children get out of shape. Like, again,
No.
get better. You know what I mean? And again, it's when we were playing at a more elite level, I think everybody had a level of respect for each other. But there is something about just being able to do general fitness things, especially as kids. You know what I mean? Kids should get out and have fun and compete. And I wish we would instill a little more competition in our kids. Again, the next generation here. We'll see.
Well, we got a ton of good feedback last week from the show, and a lot of knowledge was passed on. And I wanted to give each of you questions because Fresh gave me the idea to take down email addresses for people who ask questions. So we have an email list and can contact people. And
Nice.
James also has another real estate agent from Virginia who has interest in coming on, which would be great because to show another market. So that's awesome.
Absolutely.
So James, I'll start with you. You had mentioned the trust that you had set up for your family, and there were several people who asked, "Is that possible? Is it possible to do something like that specifically for a business,
Absolutely.
for people in a business?"
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how does that work exactly? Is it done through the owner? Is it done through you?
No, done through the owner.
Okay.
What I suggest is I would get a lawyer to do it. Can you do it yourself? Yeah, but
Sure. An attorney can.
Yeah, I would get a good attorney, like, who handles that kind of thing. Like, I've learned a lesson where I try to do an LLC myself. I did one, but it wasn't the one that I wanted. So I'm like, you know what? Spend a buck.
Yeah, it's worth it in the end.
And would it be an attorney or even you might want accountant's advice as well
Absolutely.
on that, depending on the type of, if it's an LLC, S Corp, C Corp. So that's an accountant too. Would
Because
probably be a good idea.
Each structure has a tax code. So you want to talk to somebody who knows the code, especially if you're setting up something where you're going to pay yourself. Right. I'm actually getting ready to talk to somebody about that tomorrow. come to speak of it.
Because someone was asking about the tax implications. Are they different when it's business oriented?
Sort of, kind of, not by much.
Okay.
The thing is, the life insurance portion of it, it's tax free. It's tax free anyway.
Okay.
It's tax free anyway. Whether you put it in your name or the trust name, is still tax free. But it saves you from a lot of anything else.
Right.
And the way how I set up my my policies, I try to do it where the money lasts forever.
Right.
So it's better to put it in a trust and let that money keep going than, if you don't have a trust and somebody passes away or something like that, and then the money stops, it goes back to the insurance company, and the insurance company would love to take that money back. Heck yeah.
It goes back to the insurance company.
Yeah, because if no one's there to claim it, if no one's there to claim the money,
Oh, okay. Fresh, there were several people who asked, because you have a vast portfolio, when exactly, because I know you also coached, when did you start focusing on building that? Because I call it like building your empire, and you've done a good job of building that over the years. A couple people had asked when you exactly started, when it came on your mind to begin it.
I mean, when I would say I would start, I think I started, I'd probably say early. I probably started on my way probably towards the end of leaving UConn. And I'll say that the reason why I'll say that, because this is why I'll say it. because the education starts first, right? You start like you gotta make it first. You gotta decide, and I decided like I wanted, growing up where I grew up, I just know that something had to change. Like I didn't have what to go back to. Was like, all right, I'm not going back to the PJs. I'm not going back to the projects. So I have to do different. And so to do different, I have to start moving differently. So I was fortunate enough to have an opportunity to go to Florida State right after UConn.
Correct.
And I guess that's where it kind of really I started to kind of do more. But I started to dabble in different entrepreneurial type things when I was actually at UConn. I think, if I'm not mistaken, like somebody said, like I at one point, you try different things. I was doing like, something like I guess Amway, right? Which is now like Amway back in the day. And
multi-level marketing type things.
That's one of the kind of the granddaddies of, Amway was like, I don't know if you remember, like I think the Orlando Magic Stadium was Amway. It was the Amway Center, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't like it was that was like a legit, MLM situation. Yeah. So, but it was like, it wasn't easy. It was hard. And it was a thing where, you do things, you go, you figure out, which is essentially what I think, and I'm glad you brought that up. It just came to me, and most of you be able to relate to it, which is one of the most important part of almost all of our businesses, sales. So you kind of start in sales. You got to, if you can sell, you can do anything. You know what I'm saying? You can pretty much.
It is 100%.
That is probably one of the fundamental skills you need as an entrepreneur is to sell. So I started selling, and once I started selling, you start finding out what you're good at, and you start figuring out the angles to approach with people. So once you start finding out how to sell, it goes from products. Once you can sell one thing, you sell anything else. You can sell products, you can sell services, you can sell yourself. And a part of building one's portfolio is first you want to sell yourself. Initially, you got to sell yourself and your ability to yourself. You got to have confidence in yourself and believe like, hey.
No, you have to. You have to.
So
that's huge.
Once you can sell yourself to yourself, then it kind of it transfers over to the other things. And I would say when I started to build my confidence and I started to, to fail forward, only make a few sales here, have big ones, do this, not do well at this thing, know that, Amway's not for me, but maybe this other thing is, until when I finally started to slowly chip away and build at things and start to see that there was another way. And what really, and I would say outside of that, right, kind of believing in myself, selling myself and starting to try new things, what really hit was actually, was my wife. So, and I think for those of us married, that's your business, that's your partner, right? Like that's
100%.
That's a partner that you kind of need. And I saw certain skills and certain things in my wife that she would share that I didn't have, especially like not kind of growing up with a single mom, and like the things that her parents set her up, like what they set her up for is kind of like, I think I might have mentioned somewhat of it. We talk about, buying a multi-unit when you first start out, but the way it started. So my wife, I think freshman year, her parents let her stay on campus. Second year, going into the summer, second year, they purchased a house around the campus. So,
oh wow!
From sophomore year, she owned a property, and she did a 5-year program at FAMU. And she had this house, and I think she ended up purchasing with a friend, roommate. So it was like two of them, but the property appreciated in those 4 years enough to where that seed money was the start of our, portfolio, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
And that helped us get into our first place down in Brooklyn, a few blocks
Right.
away from Barclays Center. That turned into, the short sale. And so it
Yes.
just started to trickle up. So we started to get that. That went into, the syndications. That went into, all of these things started to flow, and we started to do, more ownership, more things. So, long story short,
That's amazing.
sales. I
That's a
started
great story.
sales.
Yeah.
Started selling myself to myself, believed in myself, started trying things, not afraid to fail, fall down 7 times, get up 8. Then learning from my environment and then surrounding yourself and partnering with the right people. And the best, your lifetime partner is a very
Someone you can trust.
important decision to make. It should be based on a number of things, not just, your visual and love. It should be strategic and understanding how this person was raised and how they were, just kind of how they
Your
move
values. Yeah.
in that process. So.
But listen, I think, and you're talking about partnerships, and if it's your significant other, but even in partnerships, like it is good to know what your potential partners have as far as baggage or debt service. I mean, those are all conversations you do have to have. Hopefully you've had it with your spouse or significant other, but for your business partners, like you want to know that if something does go sideways, they're going to be able to, pull it in with you as opposed to leave you high and dry if they're not in a good financial situation or whatever else. So I think that is important for, certainly Fresh, like you said, that self-confidence, but don't be afraid to ask questions because we see like with tenants, they have credit reports and we'll just say, hey, listen, if they're honest with us and say this is what happened and they're credit worthy, you got to kind of trust in them. But you need to look at your partners, what their finances look like, what their goals and aspirations are, because you want to be on the same page for sure. Because if something comes up and you're all into this project and they're kind of half in, they can leave you high and dry. So choose your partners well and don't be afraid to ask some tough questions, because most people that are transparent with their portfolio can justify every move they made and be able to say, hey, this didn't work out so well, but this was the solution we came up with. So always work around solutions.
It's good to have that foundation.
Yeah. Laban and Razul both got asked this question several times because Laban, you have several LLCs and entities, and Razul works with several people as well. People had wanted to know leadership qualities because you obviously have to have some sort of leadership qualities to manage what you're managing. And Laban, would you say that you have always had leadership qualities and been able to take control when control has been needed to be taken? Or is it something that developed over time for you?
Oh, I think you definitely develop that leadership, but I remember specifically in real estate where I would sit in these large settings, whether it was continuing ed or something, and I wasn't afraid to speak up because I was confident in my knowledge. And so I think that's where, when you do get a chance to, speak out about what you're doing and it resonates with people, it will build that confidence and enable you to, again, go ahead as a leader and take some risks, because I think that's where in leadership, and we talk about this with partnerships, like I want to know that you've been through some of these battles as well. You know what I mean? So I think as a leader, being able to say, hey, I've been through this before. This is how we have to handle it. And so it's big, but also in leadership, it's being able to humble yourself. And I know, James, we talked about this last week about hiring people, like whether it's an assistant. I mean, you have to empower these people too. So being a leader requires that humility and then the willingness to empower people and then get your hands off of it. Because so many times you delegate something, you want to micromanage. That's not leadership. You know what I mean? That is you. That's leadership dragging the dog, you know what I mean? Versus letting them walk ahead and learn that process. So I think leadership comes in a couple forms, but for sure being, having gone through and cleared a few hurdles is a big factor to give confidence, to the group or to the process. So yeah, leadership is vital, but I think it is more learned than it is innate. And it
Really?
does. I think so. And I mean, it does depend on your surroundings. My mother has always been a very strong-willed woman, who was not afraid to take a lead on things. And so I think that's the other thing. When you have, as an independent leader, when you have leaders underneath you, it makes it so much easier, again, to trust in the delegation process and to know that, hey, my mom's out there doing what her role calls for in the business, and she's confident that I'm doing what I need to do, the things that she doesn't want to do. So that delegation is, and again, there's times where I'll say something to my mother and she reminds me that her name is on the sign. But that, that's what I'm saying. Like, leadership comes in a couple different forms sometimes. Oh, yeah. When we start arguing, she loves to say that. Hey, listen, whose name is on the sign? So, and you got to let her. That's true. Very true.
Yeah. Razul, with you, the same thing was asked, because obviously you have the Husky Investment Group and you're also doing things on your own with the House of Changes. And you also have commercial real estate, residential properties, different things that you want to get into. And, I was there at your office and you have a great team working together. How would you say that your leadership was established, and who would you say of the group really takes charge in that office?
Oh, that's interesting.
Well, I didn't ask it.
It's a great question, though, and I'm anxious to actually hear.
I think for me, I think I'm a doer, and from all the doing, I've developed a certain level of confidence in certain things that I know from experience. So I think in the confidence, that gives people a certain level of comfort, I think one of the challenges that I'm trying to understand about myself is I think that there's something in my communication style where there are gaps at times. And I'm not as effective as I would like to be. So that's an area that I'm like trying to understand and work and understand better to be better. But I think for me, a lot of it too is I think it's a journey of growth, with my team.
You feel like you're lacking in communication. Is it with the people you work with, or the tenants that you have, or the House of Changes? Where would you say that you feel you're deficient in that area?
I just think that there are areas that I could be more effective in that I'm not. I think there's areas where I'm strong with the communication, and I think there's areas where I'm not as effective. Like even when we're talking in our group, like Hig, for example, I think Bell has he's really effective at communicating from what he has in his head to like the execution of it.
Correct.
I think I'm good with pieces, and in some areas I'm strong, but from what I'm thinking in my head to the actual outcome and execution. And I think for me, part of that growth is kind of when I have moments of frustration, it's usually because I didn't get the outcome that I was hoping for.
Right.
It's like just sitting with it and saying, what could I have done better? How could I have communicated that better? Because
you second guess yourself on certain things.
Well, I think for the most part, everybody really wants the thing to succeed. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So I don't think it's like anyone intentionally doing anything, right? It's I think that there's if what you had in your head doesn't like relate to reality, it's not because someone's trying to sabotage or they don't want to do it, but there's just like a gap somewhere that wasn't adequately filled. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
And then as far as the team goes, I think Ja always talks about alignment, right? When you get partners, a lot of it is not forcing things, but like when you work with someone, like let them tell you who they are, because a lot of the times, like, you know, some people, the way they communicate throws you off. Like we're used to communicating probably within, you know, within 4 hours, usually you'll probably get like some type of response or something like that. But then different people are set up different ways where they might not be in the office one day, and maybe they only check their emails like at noon on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So you might not get a response until like a day and a half later, and you're like, the communication is lagging, and you feel like it's off. You know, so a lot of it is just like, for me, like just patience, doing your best to over communicate, you know, maybe more than you might need to, and then letting people show you who you are, who they are, and then the individuals who you like vibe with, or you guys have your communication styles match, your tempo matches. It seems like there's alignment in what you want to do. I think working with those people just makes it really easy and fluid.
Easier.
Because you're on the same vibration.
Yeah.
Well, but I also think it's interesting because I tell a lot of my clients or like my pole vaulters, hey, if you want, like, I'll send out videos to them and they will send me a message. Hey, coach, can you send those to me? And I said, listen, don't be afraid to remind me multiple times. You're not bothering me, but as busy as I am, it's kind of helpful for you to interject because I promise you I intended to do that. But if you just shoot me a short text and just say, hey, as a reminder, I don't care if you do it like joking around, but it is something that I have communicated to my clients that it is helpful to me. Even if you feel like you're bothering me, I don't care if it's 11 at night, I don't sleep with my phone, but that way I have the notification the next time I get up and can do it. So I think communication's huge, but almost giving them permission to do things that typically they would not do.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's where you're saying you're kind of anticipating a response right away. And like, I don't wear one of those iWatches because I don't want people to think that, hey, you saw the text. It's like, no, my phone is not with me. I cannot respond. I mean,
right.
I've had a few calls and messages while we're doing this and I'm like, hey, sorry, can't talk right now.
Yeah.
But I have always disclosed to clients, if I don't respond right away, I'm probably giving somebody else my full attention. And as a head trauma sufferer, you know, concussions and trying to remember things on my own, I put it in my calendar. I follow up on emails. I'll flag them or mark them as unread, but don't be afraid to admit, for me, my inequities, and just feel free to send me another message. You're not bothering me. And I know some people would, hey, you've already sent me this 3 times. I got it. It's like, okay, well, you didn't respond after the first time.
Right.
So communication's huge.
But I think even that, what you just expressed, like that's simple, but it's a significant way to communicate, right? Because now I know, all right, I didn't get a response in the time frame that I'm used to. Let me hit him up, and I'm not gonna feel like I'm bothering him, or you know, I just don't have a lot on his plate. And I think the other thing that I've become really attuned to is because like years ago, that used to frustrate me, but now I just become aware that I really feel like everyone's really trying to do their best and put their best foot forward, but it's really more of a bandwidth issue. Like if someone is too busy or they can't get to it, it's like they probably just have too much stuff going on, and they don't even in this moment is higher intent. So I usually try to give people the benefit of the doubt there too. So there's a lot of variables, and I think, like I said, over communicating or saying, hey, you know, my apologies, because I have those gaps too when my bandwidth is kind of overwhelmed and stuff like that. You know,
is this one of your partners, Razul?
Who's that?
James. I see you went black. There you go. Is this like one of your partners or like an employee or something that you're talking about?
Oh no, I'm just talking about in general.
In
general.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what I asked too. If it was someone you worked with, or
because I'm big on communication, especially if I'm running a project.
That's
everything for me has to be like clockwork.
Yeah,
and you're direct. You would say, James, with your communication.
Yeah.
So that's your elder statesman right there saying.
Well, that's it. I think that's that D personality. I know we haven't talked about it as a group, but in the past we've talked about that DISC profiling and understanding the type of client. Yeah, exactly. And again, it sounds like James, because I'm a D personality. I've joked around about my 15-year-old, or she's 16 now. 16-year-old, man, she might even be 17. That's scary.
17.
But-
She's a year older than my daughter, so she's 17.
Oh man! So she'll start telling a story. I ask a question. She starts telling a story. I'm like, listen, I just needed to know when to pick you up. I don't care what friend's house you're going to. So that high I personality, you got to hang on. So I think, James, that's a great point, especially on a project where if you're the lead man, you have to communicate. But it is important to understand people's personality types to know kind of what their expectations are too.
I'm a person that goes on energy. Energy to me is currency.
Yeah.
Very true. Yeah.
Energy to me is currency. What you put out is what you get back.
Yeah.
And if you can't communicate or be on the same level, if you're achieving a same goal, and this is kind of why, like, and not to get into sports, but like the Knicks has a good locker room because all of these guys, their main guys, they're all on the same level. They're all on the same wavelength, the same energy. And as a team, you can't have one guy this way and one guy here. Everybody has to be here because that's how the machine flows, which is why it's hard for me to recruit agents because
Right.
I'm hard on me. So if I'm hard on me, I'm going to be worse on you.
Absolutely.
You know, because
Well-
I'm a person where if I won't tell you to do something if I won't do it myself.
But
And
it's
Laban,
also
you said the same thing.
and I was going to say at Michael Strahan's Hall of Fame speech, he talked about pregame and he'd go around and be a hype man. But then when it came to Eli, he knew Eli was just a low-key guy,
Just
but
stay away from him.
he was always ready. Like he didn't need to hype him up. And so I think that's the same thing, right? You got to kind of know the personality because if you're high energy and you got somebody that's just low-key, that high energy can stress them out a little bit too. So it's, again, understanding that and then communicating. And like I said, humbly admitting that, hey, I'm all right. I get busy too, but I'm never too busy for more business. And I think those are important little scripts and dialogues to use because so many people do think we're so busy. Oh, he wouldn't have time to. No, this is what I'm here for. I do business like this. I'm busy. And if you call somebody and they can get out there that day, they're probably not busy enough for the professional standard you're looking for.
I just spoke to a lead vendor yesterday, and he said to me, how many calls can you handle? I says, I'm trying to buy a home and a plane in 2 years. How much energy you think I need? How many leads you think I need to handle?
That's a great way to put it.
Just bring it
Keep
in.
'em coming. Yeah.
Just bring it in. So
That's a great way to put it.
yeah.
James, I believe on the last show, you had mentioned that you worked in a different field before getting into insurance,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Because I didn't specifically remember that. So you had someone who asked what pushed you into financial services, the insurance industry, and retirement planning, because I remember they said you did something else for 17 years maybe, and then
Yeah, I was in fashion.
That's
Fashion.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
From fashion to finance.
Yeah.
That's what they asked. See, they were paying attention. They asked about the transition.
I was designing clothes. My very first boss in the urban wear was Damon John.
Wow.
And yeah, that's my dude. I've known him. My daughter's 26. I've known him like 27, almost 30 years.
Dude,
Almost 30
this
years.
is your wait. How many shows were you gonna wait to drop this?
No, he said that before.
I don't like to name drop. It's just it just happened to work out that way. Because I'm an artist. I do comic art and all that kind of stuff. I paint. I got into art. I got into fashion because I put myself through college airbrushing T-shirts.
Wow, that's cool.
Wow.
It's just
cool.
It's a circle of life. Everything led to another stage. So in fashion, because I have a lot of friends now who are still in fashion and they're job hunting. There's no such thing as job security when you're in the creative. So owners think that the creative can be replaced with somebody else cheaper. You know, not the fact that I just made you a $50 million deal.
What have you done for me
do
lately? Yeah. What have you done for me lately?
Exactly. So I got out of fashion because I got tired of the hiring and firing. I have a family. My daughter was 6-7 years old at the time. Actually, no, I'm lying. She was younger than that. She was like maybe about 3 or 4, because I think I officially left the business in 2000. Because we had, remember we had the recession and everything, and so I had no job. I had, I couldn't freelance because companies weren't hiring or anything else like that. I had a guy knock on my door from the cable company, and he was selling cable.
You mentioned that.
Door to door. And I asked him, I said, I was bold, I didn't care. I said, how much money do you make doing that? And you would think that these guys make 40, 50 grand a year. Like I said, it's what you put into your business, put into yourself is what you get back. So this guy was like, no, I do pretty good. He got me an interview, and he just said, listen, just make sure you put sales on your resume, even if you didn't have.
Which if you have sales experience.
But I look at it like this. I sell my ideas to my boss, who's trying to sell those ideas to a store. So
right.
I was the guy who did the FUBU football jerseys.
Yes, you told me that. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah. So like I said, me and Damon came up with that. But when I put the sales in my resume, I got hired, and I never did this job before. I looked at it as I'm going to strangers' doors, knocking on their door.
Yeah, because cable's door to door.
Yeah, right. It's really, listen, if you can do door to door and be successful, and I did door to door for 10 years.
Yeah,
I did door to door for 10 years.
Man,
you can sell anything at that point.
Yeah. Talk about getting your 10,000 steps in a day. You probably getting about 30,000 steps in a day.
Yes, and that was before before we had the Apple Watch.
Yeah.
So I looked at it as, when I was a kid, when I was in school, I'd go door to door and sell candy. So I go door to door selling cable, and if I sold service for $50, I made money. So at the end of the day, I got hired, I think in like February of that year, and when I looked at my W-2 at the end of the year, for 10 months, I was $2,000 off from 6 figures.
Wow.
Right.
So when I saw that, I said, I'm gonna keep doing this until the wheels fall off. And I got into insurance out of happenstance, because I got injured playing basketball, and my company didn't really have disability insurance. They had state disability, and state disability sucks.
Is that like workman's comp?
Like workman's comp, but I wasn't on the job when I got hurt.
Right.
So I said I'm gonna get licensed and see if I can sell insurance so that nobody be in the position that I was in, because I was supposed to be resting, and I have the state telling me that I had to go back to work right after I got off the table. I'm like,
right after you had the surgery or whatever?
I had knee surgery. I had patella tendon surgery.
Oh,
So my most stressful part of recovery was dealing with the state, when that's supposed to be your time to just, not worry about things.
Heal and recover, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. So I said I wanted to sell insurance, and I had no idea that selling insurance makes the most millionaires.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be a college graduate to do it.
No. You just have to pass there's a test, right? That you have to pass.
You pass the licensing test. And what I did for the licensing test, I didn't even read the book. I ABC the quizzes because the quizzes gives you the answers. So after a while, you start seeing
you know the answers, right?
By the time I went to take the test, I did a 3-hour test in 45 minutes.
Wow, that is crazy. That is
And,
a crazy
and I
story.
walked away with a 92 score.
That's amazing.
I should have had you
amazing
sit
how
next to
got
me in
into it.
college.
Yeah, my stats class for sure.
Nah, that's
Yeah, it's a what a journey. What a
Yeah, I'd
journey.
say so.
You see how you tied it back into the sales though, like how when I started
It
telling
is
you
all
about
sales.
the sales start. You start in sales, like we probably all have a sales story, whether we realize it or not.
Oh yeah, I got some field. I got some stories in the field.
Yeah, door to door. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Fresh. You were asked multiple times because FreshFold Laundry Company. It's a rather new business. Several people wanted to know what is the top or number one or the most frequent, I guess, mistake you will see new business owners make.
Well, it's a couple of them, right? I mean, I would say so. Not for one, not they don't do due diligence, right? We've talked about that before.
Mhm.
So they don't do due diligence, and again, due diligence is in everything. Simply, when Laban kind of mentioned when we was talking about partnerships, you got to do due diligence on your partners, right? You got to do due diligence on the business you're buying or going into. You have to know what you're getting into, and you have to know. And a part of it is because it makes you aware of everything around you, which gives you a peace of mind, and also when you're dealing with certain business, it gives you leverage when it comes to negotiating, when it comes to certain things that you're doing, whether that's a lease or when you know about certain things, that gives you leverage. So I think doing your due diligence on being aware of what you exactly want to go into, that's very important. And then you could either have it a part of your due diligence or just kind of a separate item is knowing your numbers. So knowing your numbers,
Right there.
very important. Your
That's
numbers
where your money is.
tells you like basically how to get into the black, right?
Oh,
How
okay.
to make money. Everybody just think, all right, like you hear people like when I initially started in transportation, I had so many people, and this is why we did well, because we took people that had the mindset of I'll just get a truck, I'll get a box truck, and I'll just start making money. I'll get a semi, and we just start booking loads. And we'll be like, okay, well, I would already start with people. So what is your number? What do you need? Like, what are your expenses? So give me all your expenses. Okay, this is what my truck noticed this. I have a trailer. I have all these different things. So once you would tell me, okay, what are all your expenses? Okay, well then what? Now I have your business expenses. Now what else? Like, what do you want to achieve? Like, where do you want to be?
What are your
And they
goals?
always
Right.
tell, sure, if I could just make 6 figures, like, no, I need to be specific.
Yeah.
Right. So, all right, I want to make. I'm like, you need to tell me a number. Like, I want to make $375,000 a year. Okay. All right. So we can scale that back. Right. All I would do, and what I do with most things is, it's a very simple skill. It's just reverse engineering. You take the big number and you start to break it down. Right. So I take that. Okay, 375 for the year. Divide that by 12. Okay, that's what you need to. Where you at a month? Break that down by by a week or by 30 days. The better number is the 30 days. To use the 30 days, right? So then you know what you need to make a day. Then you can turn that into 7 days and you do it that way. So I think those two things, due diligence, you know your numbers, and they kind of come together anyway. But knowing your numbers is so important because you need to know how you're gonna make money. You don't just start doing stuff and selling things or just moving and think money is just gonna pop up, right? Without knowing, okay, that this amount of money needs to go here, right? A lot of people, so many new business owners so underestimate what it takes for them to become profitable. They underestimate long it's going to take them.
It's going to take years. Yep.
Estimate what those numbers actually look like. So I would say that is very important. I would tell anybody who says, okay, here are my numbers, probably 2-3x it at least, right? At least. Okay. Oh yeah, I need to gross 100,000. Now you probably need to gross 250,000. That's probably
Right.
what you need.
Well, and I think especially in
Wow.
our area, like
Wow.
you're exactly right, and that's the whole thing. You're exactly right with know your numbers. For us in real estate, like we have a 60-day lag, meaning I put it under contract. It takes 45 to 60 days to close where the revenue hits.
Correct.
But we also have seasonality. And so it really looks like a bell curve because, start of the year, January, February, it's snowing here. Not many people are out trudging through the snow residential sales.
Right,
But then you
right.
get this summertime. Like right now, I listed a home this morning and it'll probably be sold by the weekend. I mean,
That's beautiful.
so we are absolutely.
the one you did the
cramming
video
right
on?
now.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
said
it is. Yes, it is.
fire
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I did send that video out this morning. And so that's something where it's like, now come November, December, it's going to slow down. So my dad has always said, we need to plan for 10 months of revenue. You know what I mean? Versus 12 months, because
That
of
part.
the 12 months, you really have 8 probably of strong revenue and maybe 4 that are lacking one way. You should know where it's at. That's the thing. Know your numbers. So whether it's I carry a line of credit in the summertime, and then once we have that big revenue, we pay it down. I mean, it's being more strategic with those two aspects of any business that are vital, your income and your expenses. And what we've seen in real estate over the last few years, and even going through numbers, like when we opened 18 years ago, our units was so high. And of course, with units being down now and inventory being lower, our prices have gone up. So as far as the total revenue that washes out, it's less units, but higher prices in homes. And so you have to be able to know how to gauge that, adjust that, and then tighten the belt. I think that's the tough part when things
you
get
said
tough.
that. Yeah.
People they're just too proud to say, hey, we got to cut these expenses. We got to knock these things out. I mean, Levi and I knocked out bonuses a couple years ago just because we saw that revenue was coming down. I mean, if you can't forecast what your projections are or be realistic about it, I'd love to think the market's going to boom in real estate. But realistically, it takes some time to pick up. We are starting to see it. One of the things I know is we hold an escrow account for any of our listings. We get a deposit. That's up over 250,000, which it had hovered around 100. So I know we're putting homes in pending. And so those are just some of but Fresh is exactly right. You got to know your numbers, not just revenue. Expenses is just as important. And then where can you look to cut? Because there's certain things we can't cut. We just sent out a check to our insurance company for the company vehicles, and it is what it is, but you got to have insurance and covered and things. So you have to be realistic. And then the other thing is under promise, over deliver. Like everybody thinks their revenue is going to be so high. And then when it's not, what do? So project low on your revenue and higher on your expenses, and things will look a lot better for you at the end of the year than if you do it the other way around.
Yeah. Be conservative. So I would say you want to be very conservative.
For sure.
I always tell people, know when your slow season is coming.
Yeah.
And
the Bible says store up for winter. The Bible tells us about that. Store up for winter.
My in sales, and it's been every business that I've been in. I've watched people get fired November, December, like right before Christmas. I've seen people get fired a week before Christmas in sales because not for nothing, they weren't doing their job in the sense of if you have a quota. And if you can't meet the quota, which in most cases, the quotas are so simple, it's just getting out of your car in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Find a building and just knock on doors. You get what I mean? But even in my business now with insurance, no one's buying insurance near Christmas.
Right.
Period.
So you know that's your slow time. Okay.
And it's not like, and the thing is, I say to myself, I don't try to resign to that because things happen, but it's true. So the one thing that I do during that period of time, if I don't take a break, I sell Medicare because Medicare costs nothing to sign up, and it has a good commission rate. It has a good commission rate. You know,
James, I got some. I just had a thought when you said my mind just works certain ways. Have you looked into or thought about this? So I know obviously most people celebrate Christmas, but not everybody.
No.
I mean, there's so much data out there now that you could easily.
Well, they say happy holidays.
People who don't celebrate. No, I'm just saying.
Somebody that doesn't.
People who don't celebrate the holidays. This is called it.
Right.
People who don't do that. Right.
Right.
Those might be the people who have some coin during that time, and you just identify those different parties. Maybe I don't know. I don't know if you ever thought about that.
Well, I have, but like most of those people, is I don't want to offend anybody by saying race or anything else like that.
Yeah.
Some of those people ain't spending.
Oh, yeah, right. I got you there.
And I try to and I try to explain to people, especially when I show them the IULs and stuff. No one wants to come out with, you know, 20 grand out of their pocket thinking that they're going to flip it. You know, even if I show them the diagrams, you know, and I'm like, listen, you're at the end of the year where the market is at a particular point. It's not guaranteed when January comes around that it's going to be the same, you know, and it gets to the point where it's almost as if, depending on your approach, as if you're begging. And the one thing I don't want to do is give a client or potential customer power over the sale.
Absolutely. 100%.
I'd rather walk away because either which way, I'm going to come out empty-handed.
Very true. Razul, you had a couple questions. What are the advantages of running a nonprofit? Because House of Changes is a nonprofit. You have that, and then you also have your real estate company. What would you say the advantages are of having a nonprofit as part of your portfolio?
That is a good question, Steve.
Well, I didn't ask it, so.
I'm learning the advantages. I really followed the advice of someone that everything that they've ever told me was very like valuable, and always results in a good outcome. And it's a learning process because I don't know all the advantages
for having a nonprofit.
But like I said, this individual, I think one thing that is cool about a nonprofit is with the work that you're doing, because it's like community centered.
Yes. You're helping people.
If you have a shortage in revenue for whatever reason, you can just ask people for money and say, "Hey, we're trying to do this thing. You know, will you guys, support it with dollars?"
The corporate sponsorships, right, and the fundraisers.
But I mean, not just that, but I mean, just donations from anyone.
Right.
You know, I know that there's tax benefits. I have not really got into them yet because it hasn't come yet. But that is probably a conversation I need to get more deep into before the year is out.
Yeah, it's something.
How to leverage? Yeah, just how to leverage
website.
it.
Right.
How to leverage that the best way possible, because I know we've got there's a bunch of nonprofits locally, they're good causes, whether it's children that have passed, or there's just so many different nonprofits that are created, and there's a number of reasons. But I think that's where, to your point, on the revenue side, it gives the contributors a chance to have that write-off. But at the same time, I think the ultimate, most people, provide to nonprofits because of the good they're doing in the community. Do you know what I mean? So I think if you keep leading with that, all those other things will work itself out. But I know there's definitely some advantages to it. And then there's some setbacks as well. But it's something that, again, it would be great to be proficient with that. And I know there's people around there that help advise with how to optimize it. And I think that's the other thing, because I know a woman that ran one and she didn't pay herself anything because it was for the community. But it's like, hey, you're putting a ton of effort into this. Like, there are ways that you can pay yourself as an executive director and you don't have to bleed it dry, because I know a lot of people that will contribute to nonprofits and they want to know, like, what is your payroll? Is it 10% of your revenue, or is it 90% of your revenue? So I think it goes back to what Fresh is saying, like know your numbers, so that you can sound, knowledgeable when somebody asks of what you're able to do there. But I think a lot of people do want to get alongside good nonprofits and really support it because they know it's doing good for the community.
All right.
I'll chime in real quick about the nonprofit thing. So, one of the main things with nonprofit, Razul, over time you can look into is really taxes. Like that's probably top, right? You can have a lot of tax benefits from nonprofits.
Yeah.
You get also access to funding. It gives you you can get access to funding specifically for nonprofits that gives you qualifications for things like that. Also credibility, public trust. Right, you get some credibility for having a nonprofit for things. You're going to have it's going to be credible because of the services that you're providing. You're providing a service that the community needs, and it's very admirable, and that creates a public trust. And then also one of the good things about nonprofit is like if it's for profit, it tends to have more liability with it than a nonprofit would. Right, so you have it's like it's kind of separate entity because you are set up to be for kind of for a greater good or for a service. It usually is not. You don't have as much liability when it comes to to certain things because there's usually as it grows, you'll have more people involved, like directors and officers and all these different things. So I would just say that, but grow it. Focus on one thing at a time, and study up on those things because it's more right. It's other things that you could that they have that they're beneficial from. Because I know, and then also, and James probably could relate to this because I know when we set up our entity structures, setting up a 501c3 nonprofit was a part of our tax saving strategy of what help us to maximize on taxes. That's just as an individual, like just as for our not individual, just as our kind of our setup as a kind of family corporation, if you will.
Correct.
By the way we structured and the different types of trust, from a business trust to a family trust to having a 501c3. Which we just do charitable things, which helps us with our tax breaks. So I just wanted to. That's just from that standpoint. When you have things in place with some of the stuff you're already doing, that you can use some of your companies that you're doing, say like whether that be the Husky Investment Group or even your own individual investing, and instead of losing some of that money to taxes, you can put it towards a nonprofit.
Right?
Yeah, so a lot of the nonprofit is tax exempt.
What's that again, Jane?
A lot of the nonprofit it's tax exempt.
Yeah. So when you again, if you ever want to chop it up about it, holla at me. It's so many benefits, man. You can it's there, but and this is why we're here. You have teammates for a reason. You got people in your corner for a reason. Like each one.
No, I appreciate that, Fresh. And it's probably at least more affordable than paying someone to at least have the conversation and start to get some foundational ideas about what directions you can go with it. But I think the other thing too is, and I wasn't too worried about it because at some point, you kind of work with or some kind.
Well, you have a board of directors too that know what they're doing. Yeah.
Also, just a professional that knows what they're doing and what they're saying, and they can give you the best advice to say this is how other people do it because of X, Y, and Z. This is what I recommend based on your situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That speaks to limited liability.
Absolutely.
That's it right there. That's why you had it. It's not all on you. Spread it out.
All right. Last round. James, you had two questions. One, you kind of answered it. Do you sell different types of health insurance as well?
I do.
Okay. And are you able to sell out of state?
What state?
Okay. So it's certain states that you can sell to.
Well, yeah, I'm licensed in I don't know, maybe 6 or 7.
Okay.
If it's worth it, you know,
Right.
I'll do the I'll just purchase the license and then sell in that state.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I mean, like I don't mind expanding through the country. It's just that after a while, you start doing testing for this state, testing for that state.
Yeah. Continuing education.
Yeah, and like I
Those
just
are
finished.
so much fun.
Oh yeah,
Those classes.
I just finished doing.
Especially real estate, boy.
Oh yeah, real estate, dude. New York State for life insurance is insane. Like
Really?
I had to take. There was one. I forgot what part of the test. I ended up taking this part like 5 times. 5 times because I was 2 points off from 70. Then it goes from 2 points to 4 points or 1 point. So yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
and you have to pay every time to take the test, right?
No,
okay.
you got like you have I think you have like 60 days or something like that or like no, I'm sorry, like 6 months or something like that to really, you know, like one time I just walked away from my computer.
I hear you. Laban, you had mentioned last week that you guys had not purchased a property in since 2016.
Yeah, it was on my list. Now we bought one in 22. Actually, it was a duplex in 2022 because it was a seller that I had listed the duplex, and we had 2 offers that fell apart, one because of an appraisal, the other because the buyer just defaulted. And so the seller was to the point where they really wanted to get rid of it. We had it on the market for less than what they wanted to sell it for. So I removed my commission and purchased it from them. So it wasn't like I was out looking for property, but and then before that, we had purchased my wife's office in 2016. So
Right.
it has been really 10 years since we bought investment property in our market because it has been such a seller's market.
So that was the question. If you were to purchase a property in 2025 or going into 2026, what would you look to purchase?
So that's a great question. And
I
think based on my experience with a pretty diverse portfolio, meaning, you know, we might have had of the 50 doors, we probably had 20 were single families. Then we have like an 11 unit, and then we have some duplexes, 3 triplex. And I find the larger multi-units is where I'd like to go. Now, the challenge with that is rarely do large multi-units come out without somebody already getting hearsay. Like, oh, my brother-in-law wanted to get them the next time we listed them and sold them. I mean, so many of these large cash flowing properties get sold before they even hit the market. And so for me personally, I'd be looking for a large, you know, multi-unit, 10 plus units, because in our experience, those are going to cash flow better. And although I was thinking about this the other day, like we're in an area, that home that I listed this morning, in 2015, that sold for $295 as a new construction that sat on the market for like 260 days. Because 2015, our market was just marginal. So
it's
now,
double, right?
What's that?
I saw you post. Is it double? It's 540.
It's listed at 540, and it'll sell because when you look at that was built in 2015 for $295, you could not build that right now for $6. It's on a half acre in Summit Township. I mean, it is one of those things, and this is where every market's different. So I'd be curious to hear James's friend from Virginia, and I know even Razul's market's different, Fresh being in the Carolinas. I mean, but Erie's market is usually shielded from the national averages and things. So right now, you hear throughout the country, homes are sitting longer on the market. Well, relatively speaking, we're still selling really quick because the prices. Honestly, a 2,600 square foot home with an additional 800 in the lower level, so about 3,400 square feet for $540. What does that go for up in Connecticut, Razul? You know what I mean? It's probably closer to $750 or $800. So
this is a residential.
Yeah, residential. I mean, it is. It's one of those things that the appreciation in value has really ticked up over the last 2 and 3 years specifically. But I always go back because when buyers are like, I don't know, it seems high. It's like, could you build this home for that price? Could you buy a lot and build a home with material and everything, the cost of labor, the cost of material? And the answer is
No.
almost 100% no.
Because
So
during
I think-
COVID, wood was like the price of wood was up to here.
Yeah, it was
Crazy.
skyrocketed.
Yeah.
And then you talk, about tariffs and different things depending on where you're. I mean, Canadian lumber, although, man, they seem to have more forest fires than they do have lumber coming down here. We're getting hazed out with this
Yep.
Canadian wildfires. But that's the thing. Like when you look at material, I mean, even my brother Levi built a home 2 years ago. Right now, it didn't double in price, but he picked up at least 20 to 30% in value just because the cost of materials, the cost of labor has gone up in the last 2 or 3 years specifically.
Yeah.
With what you were saying, Laban, it's it is very much by area, but a house like that you're describing, it could be multi-millions if you're down in Greenwich, and even
And you said in Norwich is a good market.
it is a good
Norwich is good.
it is coming up some. It is increasing a little bit, but if you're looking to build, if you can build at $200 a square foot, that's on the lower end. That's on the lower end of what it's costing to build, and that doesn't even include the cost of the land. So, So based on that property alone, just looking at that again on the lower end of the cost of building, 3,200, you're at 64, 640 exactly, without the land.
I'm like shopping. I'm vaguely, I'm like
Okay.
kicking tires on some houses. I wanted to look in Bergen County, but then now I started seeing stuff in Livingston. And yeah. And the prices, like there's some that's like as high as 3 million brand new. And then there's that, but like I'm a garage person. Like for me, I have to have a certain amount of garages and space in the garage. And I saw some new ones for like 1.6, 1.7, and there's 6 bedrooms.
Wow.
I don't need that many bedrooms, but if I'm getting it at a good price, I got grandkids, so come over and run around the place all they want.
Fresh, did you want me to show the tile vest you sent me?
I put title vests up there because here's a little kind of trick or trade. I know this happens in New York because James had mentioned New York. So just because we ever talk about continuing education, when I had to do my continuing education in New York, some of the title companies, Title Vest was a company that would sponsor lunches and do the continuing education. Like they made it like, all right, we'll do continuing education, we'll provide a lunch, we'll do that. And they would do, because New York, you had a few different things to do. It was more than, it was not just one thing. So I would encourage to look at some of these title companies and see because again, the exchanges, they're going to get the business, right? They're hoping that they get the title business. So think outside the box. And I think, Labe, this would be a great opportunity if you guys have title companies, people you work with, to encourage.
We do.
Encourage like other brokerage, like, hey, just offer this, do this. And it's a great marketing tool for this title company. They're going to get tons of, offer it for a very minimal price, or for even, I think it might have been for free. I think we was doing these title vest classes for free. They was providing lunch and we were doing it, but we knew they would give us these pins. They would give us the little kind of leave behinds so that we would use them for business. And we sure enough, anytime I had a closing back in New York, I was contacting Title Vest. So I'm pretty sure you can get the same setup somewhere else. So I had just kind of had put that out there. But then outside of that, I mean, you didn't need to show it, Steve. I just put it in the thing, but appreciate it. One thing to add with something to think about, right? This is just me paying attention to the economics of things. I think we're due for a correction. I don't know. I don't know how sustainable this growth is, right? So, like these numbers are because it's with it, from inflation to the job markets, and you got to look at the trends, right? Younger people are starting to rent more. They're opting opting not to go and get into the American dream of get your first home. So be mindful.
It's not affordable.
So a couple things with that. From an investment standpoint, Labe, think bigger. I know you like 10, 11 units. Nah, man, you need to start.
I'm saying, 10 plus.
These 75, 100. And again, like I'm telling you, you get into those. You can do it syndication wise. You get into those because it's gonna be a lot more people rent. It's already happening, right? So it's a lot more people renting. That's something to think about. And I don't not know how long, because the numbers just keep going up. Like how much money are people making to be able to think about that growth? Like it doubled, right? And what you said since when?
2015.
Yeah.
So in 10 years, right? Again, and that's but also, Erie is a very hot market. Remember, I sent you that thing.
I did, and I posted that. Yeah,
it's a hot market.
But the other thing to keep in mind, even when you look at what he paid in 2015, like I know what the market was like in 2015. It took 240 days to sell new construction. That's unheard of to anybody that's looked in the last 5 years. And so that goes back to, and I tell people, it's like it may have doubled, but it was probably a $350,000 build that the builder just had to accept the $295 because he had to get it moved to clear his inventory and start building something new. And so it's hard to tell just based on what he paid to really know the circumstances of that time. Just like I think 5 years from now, you're going to see some prices and somebody's going to go to list their home and it's like, hey, what you paid is about what we can get for you because you probably paid a little too much 5 years ago. So, I mean, some of that, like that place in time, unless you've been in the business for 20 years to know what it was like 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, it really does give you that experience to know if this is a really good deal. And I think that's where I agree that we're starting to see a market shift because I started like I have it right here. It wasn't a big enough one, Fresh, but it's a 5 unit, right? So, but like I'm now in the MLS looking at multi-units that are coming up because the last few years, people were out of their mind with what they were asking. And so it is starting to you're going to get the people who really need to sell are going to be serious and sell. And again, for investors, I have a note that is supposed to reset in January. And so I've decided to just refinance it a little bit early because I got quoted at 6.39 for a commercial rate, which to me is not bad at all. I've got another note at 7.79 from 2 years ago. Now, it's not as good as my 4.5 that I had, but it's going to adjust every 5 years. So when you look at these investors, and hopefully this goes back to Fresh saying, know your numbers. Like I know every time any of my notes are adjusting because I'm commercial, I go 15-year amortization and they adjust every 5 years. So, and that's what happened. I started selling some of mine because I had a blanket that went from 4.5 to 7.9. And now the cash flow changed. So I decided to sell them. So it's not like I was a desperate seller, but I was a motivated seller because I wanted out of that higher rate. So you're going to have some people, even though interest rates are low, for the commercial investors, there's going to be a point within the next few years where they're like, hey, my rate is going to change. I'm going to have to go 2 points over LIBOR. So I'm going to get caught anyways. I'd rather work with somebody to get this thing sold. So I do think the market's starting to shift, especially in anybody that's carrying commercial notes, just because they typically adjust every 5 years.
I'm sorry, Steve.
Go ahead, please.
I just saw something on Realtor.com where they converted an army base.
Oh yeah,
into a compound, and it was
Hold
like
on.
$5.5 million.
There's a couple people that have done that.
Yeah,
I think Cat Williams did it after following. Who was the movie producer? Anyways, but yeah, I mean, and that's where you're going to start seeing some of these repurposing of large facilities. I think I just talked recently about a young group of investors that bought an old school and they turned it into like 51 apartment complex. Yeah, right. Did you see that, Fresh?
No,
I mean, it's happening all over.
Yeah.
It's happening all over. I saw something actually in Tennessee. It was a crazy deal. What I saw in Tennessee, it was a freaking like. It had a track. You would have loved this, right?
It was
a school. It had a track. It had everything. Yeah. it had other properties on it, and it was less than $1 million. It was on, it's like, I want to say like 13 acres or something. It was crazy.
Wow.
It was, but it, it was some kind of, I read the backstory behind it, it was what goes back to, it was some zoning issues, and went back to some zoning issues where if the zoning got changed, it made more sense. But it was weird. I think it was zoned residential, even though that was a school, so you couldn't really do much more with it from a commercial standpoint.
Well, and I'll listen. Zoning is huge, but that's where I was gonna sell a church to somebody that they wanted to convert it into a martial arts studio. But the church was built in an R4 zoned area, so it's residential only, high density. But I told the township, you're never going to be able to sell this church to anybody because nobody's going to convert a church. You can't convert a church into a residential format. Like, you're going to have to demo it. So, I mean, it's one of those things where the township's going to lose out.
How old is this church?
Oh, and that the church closed down, so now you just have a vacant property.
No, I'm saying, how old is it? Because that
1800s.
But no, it was built in, I think, the 1950s. But my point is that no church requires zoning. Like, you can build a church virtually in any zoning status. I mean, that is like one of the exemptions when it comes to zoning, is if you have whether it's a church or religious establishment, because I've been to a couple facilities where I'm like, how in the world it was built on wetlands? It's like, well, how did they build? Oh, it was built as a church first. It's like, so and then they sell it and convert it into a sports complex or something.
Wait, is R4, is that only for 4? Is that up to 4 units? Or what is that?
Well, for the zoning? I mean, the R4 just meant high density. Like, R1 is low density single families, R2, R3, it just is the population density for that zoning area. So I mean, there were a bunch of apartment complexes around them, which is why that would have been perfect for like a martial arts facility or something other than a church. But because it's zoned R4 and they don't want to do a variance because they've never done a variance from residential to commercial or business, so heaven forbid you set a precedence for the right thing for the township, but I digress. So zoning is vital. And Fresh, to that point, if you get the right zoning on certain things, it'll change the value of that property immensely. So it depends on
that mug to mixed use. They need a mixed use zoning on that.
Yeah.
Razul, you had mentioned, I believe last week, that you would like to purchase commercial property before the end of this year, early next year. Are there certain areas you're looking? Are there certain places that you have on the map that you're targeting right now? Are you still kind of searching?
Yeah, so I have we have 2 proposals in right now.
Oh, you do?
And 1 offer.
Oh, beautiful.
For a couple projects to build. So I'm confident that we'll at least start to put a shovel in the ground before the year is out is the goal.
So you would actually build the commercial property. Okay. Wow.
Commercial or residential. So one of the plots is a 6-acre plot. One of them is 13 acres, and one is a small, like, regular residential lot. All of them would probably, any one of them would probably have either multifamily or some type of tiny home type of structure on it.
So and I don't want to interrupt, but do you have, like, there are certain areas that require certain square footage?
Yes.
Again, goes back to zoning. I mean, a lot of
I'm
neighborhood subdivisions.
beat me too. I'm like,
the 6-acre plot that we have it's multifamily zoning, which allows for the highest the highest by right density, without any variances or anything like that.
Okay.
One of the that's the offer that we have in. One of the proposals is for a plot of land where we'll be working with one of the community development centers or corporations, and they would actually support us in going for any variances.
Okay.
And it's a part of a larger project that the city is working on. So they felt confident that we would be able to do what we wanted to do there, based on. But again, that's part of the process because that
Right.
they can't guarantee it either. You know,
Oh, of course they can. They want you to spend 20 grand on planning before they tell you no.
exactly.
Hey.
I mean, and that's part of the, at least to me, the balance of it, because the money you spend in the beginning is the riskiest dollars, right?
Yeah.
So in having a civil engineer and architect that are sensitive or aware of that balance, right? Getting the most information you can for the least upfront investment or risk.
Yeah.
And we feel like we found a partner for that. So
Good.
that's exciting. I
Good.
feel good about the partner that we're working with.
Well, and I've worked with, because when we were developing across the street, it's like I would have a meeting on a Tuesday night about the approval, and Wednesday morning in my mailbox was the invoice. And I'm like, bro, you had to have mailed that out before the meeting even started, because I got it the next day and we didn't get approved. So you just sent me an invoice for something that you didn't even get approved. Yeah. Oh, dude, that is the most frustrating part of it, because it's your dreams and aspirations that you're putting a bunch of risk and money behind for them to say, well, maybe
Right.
we'll see. I
Right.
don't know.
Right.
Oh, it's brutal.
Yeah.
That's
To that
township
point, I would say,
politics.
hey, when you're doing these deals, Razul, you need to hopefully you guys have talked through contingency plans, like different exit strategies. So for instance, it could be like, all right, we could do multifamily, or we could subdivide this and to different parcels and develop it this way, or do like if you got a bunch of different, exit strategies, options.
Well,
Because
yeah.
like you said,
Yeah.
when you're going through this process, they can throw you some curveballs, man. You got to be aware.
Well, we have
Nicole-
a worst
Go ahead.
case scenario and an ideal scenario. You know what I mean? And if you can live with the worst case scenario and it makes sense, but you're able to do the ideal, then it can be like a home run. So we kind of have.
Ricole and Jump used to always say, keep those options open. I think he was talking about women, but I know he
RC.
always said, keep those options open.
RC.
Jump. Man, meatball. That is one dude I would not want to get trucked by.
Oh no.
Well,
Oh, man.
let me just say, we had a comment from Kimberly thanking you guys for all your time. This has been incredibly informative, and she is grateful for the knowledge that you all gave. And this is one of the best shows that she's seen in a while.
Thank you
She's
for
really
tuning in, Kim.
appreciative.
Yeah.
So you guys did great. So I appreciate all your time. I kept you over. But James Whitfield, Luther James Insurance, great to have you. I know that for the last 3 years, you've studied the art of financial planning and financial services. It's more than a career. It's your passion. You offer insurance, also life insurance and retirement planning, which is huge because it stresses people out. You offer financial stability to law enforcement officers, and retirement planning is up in the air because we don't know. And as you say, fear of the unknown is real, and people can get in touch with you on LinkedIn. They can DM you, or they can go to your website, lutherjamesinsurance.com.
Thank you so much.
FreshFold Laundry Company down in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, high-end laundry service with a 20-mile radius pickup service. You book online, they come, they get your clothes, they wash, dry, fold them, lightning speed records. You come and get them when they're done. They have a subscription model, weekly or bi-weekly, which is amazing. They have deals for college students, all these colleges that are going back to campus. Go get your clothes clean, please. And you can check out everything on their website at freshfold-laundry.com. So great job, guys. Big audience. I give you guys credit. You are a draw. So for James, Laban, Razul, and Fresh, I'm Steve Cully, the best podcast host in the universe. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges, throw them right back at life.